You are listening to the IN-CJ podcast, Conversations about International Criminal Justice.
People come to us at some of the worst points in their lives. They really have had tragedies, they've had difficult circumstances, and when they come to us, they're at a very low point. To watch somebody come from a position where they feel like the world's against them and everything's in the worst and build themselves up back to a not only a standing member of society, but also you see the confidence in them grow. That's what I love more than anything else, is watching them build them from that point to there. And they do it on their own. But I'm just there to help guide them and give that encouragement along the way. That's why I do this job. That's what I believe this job is really about, is bringing people who don't see in themselves what we can even see in them a lot of the time. I think the DRC really helps with that in a lot of ways, but truly in all supervision we do that. And I think that's probably why I'm here.
As DCS officers, we're officers of change. Our officers carry a dual role in the community.
We encourage and facilitate change in those that we supervise by addressing specific needs of the supervisee and ensuring that we provide them with a successful outcome.
We are also sworn law enforcement officers, so we serve warrants, whether at the office or at an individual's home. We transport people to and from the Cobb County Jail or any other jail that we might need to pick someone up from.
We also collaborate with other law enforcement agencies and also participate in joint operations.
I'm a CSO too. I conduct field visits for Cobb County. I supervise high-level probationers, standard-level probationers. So going out to the field, seeing them at their home, having them come in, having them report for intake, going over their conditions, going over their court order. Sometimes we have probationers that have some mental health stuff going on, and we try to assist them with that and make sure that they are able to speak with one of our amazing counselors we have in our office that help them kind of see if we can refer them to anywhere they need to go, or if they need mental health medication, we try to refer them to Cobb Services.
I'm Josiah Davis, an Assistant Chief of the Georgia Department of Community Supervision. As an Assistant Chief, I supervise a team of officers to make sure they're fulfilling their duties and obligations with their caseloads. Along with that, I provide support, guidance, feedback to them, stepping into the fold if they ever need any assistance. Along with supervising my team, I also carry a caseload in which I supervise supervisees in their homes, out in public, in their communities, and ensure that they're abiding by the terms of their probation and parole. Making field visits are part of my normal routine. So I'll go out to a supervisee's place of residence, do walkthroughs, make sure everything's in compliance. During my field visits with my supervisees, I check in with their mental health, housing needs, substance abuse needs, and their overall well-being to make sure they're making a good adjustment to the community.
I'm one of the Rome DRC officers here. We supervise a group of individuals that have been placed here that's for drug treatment and other behavioral issues. I like what I do. We get people at their lowest, and we get to see them come up, and like we're here today with some star individuals, and get to see them prosper in the community.
I'm a field officer.
I currently supervise sex offenders that are on probation and parole. With a specialized caseload, I can say it can be very rewarding. You have a sense of keeping the community safe. I hold my supervisees to more of a accountability where they're seen more in the field and may have different types of conditions of probation than your normal case would entail.
All right, my name is Kasey Barton. I am the Mental Health Consultation Program Manager here at the Georgia Department of Community Supervision. And I'm here with a few of our specialized mental health officers to discuss our specialized mental health caseload. We want to learn a little more about that and how we supervise anybody with mental health concerns here in Georgia. So I'm going to get you guys to go ahead and introduce yourselves.
My name is Christopher Burke, and I'm the mental health officer for the Middle Judicial Circuit. And I've been supervising the mental health caseload for about 5 to 6 years.
All right, welcome, Chris.
My name is Jolie Blackmon, and I'm the mental health officer with the Ywkesha Judicial Circuit. And I've been supervising the mental health caseload for about 2 years now, and I've been with the agency overall for about 8.5 years.
All right, welcome, Jolie.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ywkesha Garvin. I am a mental health officer in the Ywkesha Judicial Circuit. I've been with the agency for about 9.5 years and been supervising a mental health caseload for approximately 4 years.
All right, well, I am so glad to have all of you here, and I'm looking forward to this discussion. So a little background, the Georgia Department of Community Supervision is here to protect and serve the state of Georgia through effective and efficient community supervision of anybody that's on felony probation or parole while providing opportunities for success. So since 2015, the Georgia Department of Community Supervision, or DCS, has had at least one specialized mental health supervision caseload in every judicial circuit. So this caseload is capped at 50 individuals, but we do recommend 40 to each officer. So in Georgia, about 14% of our community supervision population has an identified mental health concern, and that amounts to a little over 25,000 people. So here in Georgia, there are about 2,182 individuals that are on our specialized mental health caseload, and that's about 2.5% of our total supervision population. So that's what we're going to talk about today, and learn a little more about our specialized caseload, who's on it, how it works, and how it's helping our communities. So we're going to start with Chris. Chris, why don't you tell us a little bit about who all is on this specialized mental health caseload?
Well, the mental health caseload is designed for any supervisee under supervision who has been diagnosed by a mental health professional as having a severe and persistent mental health illness such as schizophrenia, bipolar, major depressive disorder, intermittent explosive disorder, or PTSD. This is not an inclusive list, but if you have one of those diagnoses, your chances of being on the caseload is probably very high. Additional people that would be included on the mental health case would be all mental health level 3 and 4s that have been released from prison, and supervisees who are released from the integrated treatment facility, which is an inpatient substance abuse program for individuals that have co-occurring disorders such as alcohol and drug abuse and mental health. Supervisees who are currently receiving mental health services in the community who are unstable and show signs of decompensation. For example, they've come from a mental health hospital, or they go to the hospital or to the doctor's offices for mental health treatment more than other members of the probation and parole community. And intersupervisee who needs to be more closely monitored to the mental health concerns as determined by other officers or chief or assistant chief. They're more likely to be on the mental health caseload.
All right, so whether they're coming from prison or if they come straight from court and get on these caseloads, pretty much any severe mental health disorder that's interfering with their daily life, that's who's going to be on the caseload.
That's correct.
Okay, so how does somebody get placed onto this caseload?
Well, the most common way for a person to get placed on the mental health caseload is through what we call the DCS mental health intake instrument. It's a form that we utilize to basically start a conversation when we first meet the supervisee, and we ask them questions such as, have you ever been in mental health treatment? Are you currently taking mental health meds? And do you have any unusual behaviors such as, do you hear voices, excessive mood swings, or any persistent depression or kind of troubled thoughts? And we utilize that as a gauge just to start a conversation, see if we could help them.
All right, so we use this form, you said at intake. So at the beginning of the, when they first come on to supervision, we're going to ask them these questions and see if they are going to belong on this caseload. Are there any other times when somebody can come onto the caseload?
Yes. Anytime an officer recognizes that they may be having trouble with somebody who has mental health issues, they're subject to being placed on the caseload. A lot of times the courts will recommend and ask for interventions, either the Superior Court judge or the district attorney's office or the public defender's office. They may reach out to us either at sentencing or after they've been on sentence for a while, but maybe a revocation hearing to maybe try to help them more. But actually, at any point in time, they could actually come to the caseload. Also, as stated previously, when we talk about who was on the caseload, individuals that are returning from the integrated treatment program, they'll be on the caseload automatically, and individuals that are returning from the integrated treatment program, they'll be on there. So prison and integrated treatment program, they'll automatically be on the caseload.
Okay. All right. So it sounds like we're getting the right people on this caseload to make sure that anybody with a severe mental health illness, anybody who's struggling, decompensating, you mentioned that, coming out of prison or treatment that are already identified as having mental health issues are placed on this caseload. So when we're talking about this mental health caseload and you guys are specialized mental health officers, so what does that mean? What kind of training do you guys have in order to supervise this caseload?
Kasey, all DCS officers must complete our 320-hour basic community supervision officer training course. It's mandated by Georgia law. This includes a 32-hour course on the Enhanced Supervision Program, what we refer to as ESP. ESP is a set of supervision techniques for correctional professionals. The techniques are based on existing behavioral change strategies found to be effective when supervising our population. So the ESP skills not only develop rapport, increase motivation to change, and provide intentional interventions aimed at changing the supervisee's behavior, but it also identifies and addresses skill deficits. So the ESP program, it represents a collaborative and individual evidence-based practice approach to target current factors that put the returning citizen at risk for future behavior.
It's all about communication.
Correct.
Okay.
We have to have that rapport with our supervisees.
Yeah, and as Ywkesha just said, this training allows us to target those factors that could put the supervisee at risk. So, for example, if the supervisee has a violation of some sort, this training gives us the tools to effectively communicate with that supervisee so we can really look at what their immediate consequences are. How has this affected your life? And then we're going to additionally look at those future consequences. How is this going to affect your life down the road if you continue on this path? But on the other hand, if they have positive behaviors, we want to make sure that we are reinforcing those as well. So this training gives us the tools to really gain their commitment to stay on that right path.
I like that it's addressing not only the negative behaviors and trying to stop that, but also promoting the positive ones, because they do things we want them to do, right? And trying to get them to continue doing that.
Correct. Additionally, our officers also have to take our mandatory mental health, specialized mental health training. So this is an 18-hour course designed for specialized community supervision officers and also our mental health counselors who work closely with individuals who have been identified as having a mental illness or co-occurring disorder. In this training, we learn about evidence-based treatment models, motivational interviewing, psychotropic medications, and their side effects. And we also get the tools to supervise the requirements in order to supervise our population who has a mental illness and make sure they stay in compliance. We also have to take a mandatory training, our CIT training, which is crisis intervention. It's a 40-hour course that is both classroom instruction and practical exercise. I absolutely love that training. It's taught by mental health professionals and subject matter experts who are CIT law enforcement instructors. So this course prepares law enforcement officers and other public safety personnel with the skills to assist people who may have a mental illness, a co-occurring disorder, or any other types of substance abuse or developmental disorders. So not only are we advancing public safety, but we are also reducing stigma that is attached to people who have a mental illness.
That's so important. I love that we have this specialized training to learn how to address somebody in crisis. I feel like it's so important for law enforcement today to be able to de-escalate a situation and to understand what somebody might be going through in that crisis. I went through CIT training myself, and I really enjoyed it, especially the practical part of it. Instead of just a lecture type situation where it's just PowerPoint and somebody talking to you, getting out there and getting to actually practice. And they have bring in actors who are demonstrating somebody in crisis, and you're actually working through the situation. I think really helps you get those skills rather than just hearing about it. You're getting to really try them and use them in the classroom in that safe space. So I really enjoy crisis intervention training myself.
Yeah, I do too. I highly recommend anybody that can take the training, take it. It's very informative.
Absolutely. So we've talked about like who's on the caseload. We've talked about the specialized training that you guys have to have. So what are some specific duties you guys do day to day as a specialized mental health officer?
Yeah. So in addition to some of the general duties of a community supervision officer, such as doing monthly residence verifications and employment verifications, as mental health officers, we are also doing monthly treatment verifications. We are ensuring that the supervisee is compliant with their medication. We are working with their family to help create a supportive environment just to promote the overall success of that supervisee. And we're speaking with the supervisee's treatment providers to make sure that they're attending their appointments as scheduled and that they're progressing as they're expected to. We also conduct face-to-face interactions with the supervisees at least twice per month. And then we're making referrals for them for any needs that they may have, such as housing, employment, treatment, medication assistance, anything like that. And then it's just vital that we have a proactive role in their case management plan. So, day one at their intake, we're letting them know that we serve a dual role, that we are there to help them make those referrals as needed as we can. But we're also still there to hold them accountable to the sentence that's been imposed by the court or by the parole board.
Right.
So part of that is us developing a rapport with not only just the individual themselves, but with their family and their treatment providers to ensure that they're being supervised in the most effective way, but also still addressing their needs that they may have, whatever those needs may be.
So how does developing that rapport with not only the individual, but you said with the family and the treatment provider, how does that help?
So by developing a rapport with the family, we are able to, the family feels comfortable enough to open up to us and let us know about any additional needs that we may not have otherwise known existed. And they're also there to let us know about any concerns that may come up. And so we're trying to intervene early and, take care of any issues that may arise. And we also develop a rapport with the treatment provider, and that's very critical because we want to know not only is the person attending their appointments, we want to know that they're actively engaged while they're there.
Right.
So if the person is going to, say, a therapy session and they actually show up, but they're just kind of sitting there, they're not actively engaging, then they're probably not getting anything from that treatment that they need to. So it's not helping them long-term down the road. So by developing that rapport with a treatment provider, they are able to communicate with us, hey, this is going on, that we see this issue. And so then in turn, we can speak with the supervisee and just help encourage and motivate them to really open up and engage in that treatment plan so they will have successful outcomes.
Yeah, I definitely see how that rapport, not only with the person themselves, but with their family and their treatment provider, can really help. I know that one of the big challenges we face with all our supervisees is that they think we're just here to lock them up. They think that's our number one job. And so developing a rapport with them helps to overcome that. But the family also feels that way. And so they're going to be really reluctant to open up to us about concerns or issues that they see that their family member is facing, because if they don't have that rapport with us, they're just going to think, well, you're just going to use this information to lock up my loved one. So I can see how important that is to really open up that relationship so they can feel comfortable reaching out to us.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's something that we do explain during our intake process, that we do serve that dual role, not just to supervise your case, but we also are here to help meet those needs of our supervisees. So that always helps with having those conversations at the beginning, so that they will know that we're not here just to arrest them.
Right.
You have to enforce your supervision, but we are also here to meet those needs and help you reach those goals that you're trying to accomplish while you're under supervision.
I think that's so unique to what we do as probation and parole officers, is having that dual role. Like, I'm not just law enforcement, but I am. I have to make sure you're following your sentence. I have to make sure you're following the conditions and doing the things you're supposed to do and hold you accountable. And I'm also here to help you out and to provide opportunities for success and make sure you have all the resources you need. And that's how we protect our community, is by being both sides of that. I think that's really unique to what we do.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So how do you guys think that this specialized mental health caseload helps those people that we're supervising?
Well, the specialized mental health caseload is normally a smaller caseload than what you would find on the other caseloads officers run that are probably referred to as the general caseloads. On these caseloads, you're more than likely to see the numbers are going to be less than 50, sometimes as low as 40. And by doing this, it allows us to give more attention to detail to the cases. We can have more time to interact with the supervisee so that they can do well in their treatment. In addition to that, the officers will also a lot of times help them with scheduling mental health appointments, working on getting their mental health meds, maybe helping them navigate the Medicare and Medicaid problems they may have so they can acquire the meds, assist them with patient assistance if they can't get the meds through Medicaid or Medicare. And in addition to that, maybe working through any other issues or problems they may have. And one of the greatest problems we have in the rural areas is that they have transportation issues. And a lot of times they want to go to the appointments, but the family works and they can't go there because they have to go to work. So these are unique problems that the mental health officers have great challenges in doing while they're supervising these caseloads.
Right. Mm-hmm. What about you guys? How do you think it helps them?
Well, to me, more time and attention is dedicated to our higher risk population. So these individuals are on a smaller caseload, which allows a more hands-on approach and allows the officers to determine if the supervisee is decompensating so that we can intervene early on. So by working with the treatment providers, building those relationships with their family and support systems, and assessing the risk and needs of the individual, we are increasing stability and hoping that we are reducing recidivism.
Right. It's so important, that early intervention before there's a violation, before there's an issue, before there's a new charge. Being able to step in and intervene early.
Yes.
What about you, Jolie?
Yeah. So one of the best ways to really describe how this mental health caseload helps those being supervised is to talk about a success story. So as they just spoke on, early intervention is key, and having those smaller caseloads is key. So I had a young lady on my caseload who was recently released from prison after a revocation. She was determined to turn her life around when she got released. So that definitely helped. And so when she got released, we immediately recognized that her original residence plan was not going to be a good environment for her. So we were able to work together and help find her more stable housing. And then we eventually continued working together and we helped her find stable employment. And then as we continued just to work together, she was able to recognize that her medications weren't working quite well for her. And she relayed that information to me. So then I was able to help encourage her to step up, talk to your doctor, let them know what's going on. These side effects are happening so you can get that adjustment that you need. And so she was able to do that and get those adjustments. And so with each of those steps and accomplishments, that just helped her to become more stable. And she was eventually able to be reunified with her children, which was a major goal that she had. Yeah. And then she also recognized within our community a need for a specific peer recovery support group. And so she actually created and is now leading that peer support recovery group at our local recovery center.
Wow.
Yes. And so just by her continuing to communicate with me and let me know about these issues and challenges she had going on, I was able to be there for her, help her, make those referrals that she needed and just help her to become more stable. So since then, she has become very stable and she was able to be removed from the mental health caseload, and she's now being supervised at our lowest supervision level possible.
Wow, what a success story.
Yeah.
I love that. I love hearing stories like that because it really, helps emphasize what we do and that we are making a difference. And I agree. I think that if she hadn't been on this specialized mental health caseload, that a lot of those things might not have been addressed.
Yeah.
You have training in mental health medication. So being able to have that discussion with her and talk to her about her medication is unique. Having the time, because it's a smaller caseload, to, help her set up appointments, help her address her residents' needs, all of that is obviously made a huge difference. And I like that you kept using the word stable, helping her to get stable, because it's not just, especially with our mental health caseload, it's not just a reduction of recidivism, that's a measure of success, but it's really that stability.
Mhm.
You know, if we can get our supervisees to that place of stability in their homes, with a job, if they're able to work, with their treatment, with their medication, then, you know, we're looking at long-term success, not just success while you're on probation or parole.
Absolutely.
So I love that. So in order to really provide additional support to you guys, to our mental health officers, we are introducing a consultation component to this caseload. So this consultation component is going to allow you to have both group and individualized consultations with a licensed mental health professional. So you guys are part of our pilot group. So I'm super excited to start this program up. So you'll be able to meet with the licensed mental health professional and discuss your cases, to get extra insight and support, get advice, get help with referrals, get emotional support for yourselves, to help make sure that this caseload is successful as it can be.
Mhm.
You're going to be taught how to select and present cases to the consultants. You're going to share information like demographics, current and past treatment and medication information, and then any current problems or concerns that you need help with. So we're excited to bring this program in. I think it's going to make a big difference. And I'm so glad you guys are a part of it.
Yeah, so I'm really excited about this consultation component and how this is going to help us. But how exactly will we decide which cases to present?
So you're going to do this in one of two ways. So one way is our case management system portal is actually going to automatically flag certain cases to present for consultation. So we're setting up the system to look at certain factors like homelessness, a new hospitalization, a new arrest, or maybe a combination of factors like they're failing to attend treatment regularly or they're failing to take their medication. And when the system recognizes these things, it'll automatically flag this case. And so it'll show up in your portal system and the consultant's portal. So you'll both see it that this case probably needs some extra attention. And we're doing this because we really think it's going to save a lot of time. Okay, we don't want you to have to filter through all of your cases every month looking for what cases need, you know, extra attention. Who really is struggling? Who needs this? And so we're setting it up so the system can flag these cases. But on the other hand, you'll also be able to select the cases yourselves. So while portal will flag some cases, you'll be able to look at a case and say, you know what, technically this case may be going okay. All right, so they don't really have any red flags in the system. You know, on paper it looks okay, but you guys are the supervising officer. You work day to day with the people that you're supervising. And so you're going to know that, well, this is somebody that, you know, I really feel like I need help connecting with or reaching out to, building that rapport that we talk about. Or maybe there's some issues you see that are starting to develop and we can get that early intervention instead of waiting on a new arrest. You can select the case yourself and say, okay, this is a case I really want some extra help with.
What is the difference between the individual and group consultations?
All right, so in an individual consultation, you guys will meet one-on-one with a consultant. You'll present your cases and get that one-on-one help. So it'll just be you and the consultant. So you'll be able to talk to them about not just cases themselves, but also about, you know, obstacles you may be facing with supervising this caseload. We understand that this caseload can be a lot. So it can be an opportunity for you to talk one-on-one with a mental health professional as well and get some insight on some individual cases. And then you're going to have the group consultation. So in the group consultation, you won't only present the case to just to the consultant, but you're going to present the case to your peers, to other mental health officers. So this will give you a unique opportunity to get some insight from your peers, from people who are doing the same job that you are doing. So maybe they have a similar case or have faced similar issues before and have had some success or found something that worked in that case, and they can share their advice or their insight from their own personal experience, as well as the insight from the professional, you know, mental health consultant. So we think that balance of both an individualized consultation and a group consultation will really kind of give you the best of both worlds to be able to talk to this consultant about whatever you need to talk to them about to make sure that you are getting the help that you need or insight that you need on any of your cases.
Okay. What led to the Department of Community Supervision to bring the consultation component to the specialized mental health caseload?
Well, I guess the main reason is that research has shown that people who work with individuals with mental health issues have an increased work stress, increased depressive symptoms, an increased emotional exhaustion. And research has also told us that if an officer is experiencing this psychological distress, they are less likely to be supportive to the supervisees that they're working with. They're less likely to meet those needs. So bringing in this consultation component, it really helps to eliminate that emotional exhaustion. It's going to provide you that personalized support to help you out, to help give you some extra insight on your cases. And so hopefully it'll eliminate some of that work stress on you. And if your work stress is decreased, then you are going to be better able to meet the needs of the people you supervise. So not only is providing the support going to help you guys, but it's going to in turn help the people that you supervise, and we'll get better outcomes in the long run. Yeah. So that's why we're wanting to bring this in. We really think it's an evidence-based program that we think is going to be successful.
Okay. I'm looking forward to
it. I am too. I'm very excited about how that's going to go. So I want to ask you guys a couple more questions about the caseload. So what do you like most about supervising the mental health caseload?
I think the mental health caseload is unique. It's different. It's challenging. Every individual is unique and every case is different. And that falls in line with what our agencies really want us to do now, which is self-centered supervision, where you've got to look at each individual as unique in the holistic whole and see how you can best try to help them with whatever their problems are to get them to a better outcome.
Yeah, I like variety. I like that every day is a new challenge. And like you said, each case is different. Each person is different. And so it gives you a unique opportunity every day to use your problem solving skills and to work with somebody. What about you guys? What do you like about it?
For me, I like that we are helping to reduce the stigma. So we all know that there is a stigma revolving around mental health. And so by us, working with these supervisees and help promoting successful outcomes, it's not only helping them while they're under our supervision, but it's helping them for the long term. When they're off supervision, how are they going to be? And so if we're helping them, be successful long term down the road, I feel like we are helping to just overall reduce that stigma one case at a time.
I love that. Really looking long term, looking past while I have you on supervision. But if we can increase that stability, increase that success long term, then we are really helping our communities all around. And that's what we're here for. So, and reducing that stigma, building that rapport, getting people to talk about it, and learning to live with their disorder or their mental health issues, and still know that, I can still be successful. I can still be part of this community, living with this. So I love that. What about you, Ywkesha?
I love actually working on a mental health caseload. I feel like we are creating a safe space for our supervisees to be able to open up to us, to build that rapport. So I feel as officers, we are making a difference so that these individuals, even when they are no longer under probation or parole supervision, they can continue to have that successful outcome even after supervision.
Absolutely. I like how you word that, a safe space, because that really is what this building rapport and having that smaller caseload, being able to work with this individual is all about. Because if they don't open up to us, if they don't talk to us about what's going on in their life, the struggles that they might be having, the issues, medication, housing, problems with their treatment provider or anything like that, if we don't give that safe space, then we're not going to find out the information we need to really help them. So I like how you worded that. So I feel like we've learned a lot about our mental health supervision today, about who's on the caseload, about what we do day to day, the specialized training we have to have. So one last question for you guys. what do you think is the biggest challenge you're facing right now, supervising those individuals with mental health concerns?
I say the biggest challenge for the officers that work in the rural areas is the fact that a lot of times they don't have transportation to get to and from their mental health appointments. Some vendors, mental health providers, will provide transportation, but a lot of times it's dependent upon on what the Medicare will pay for or the Medicaid will pay for. And if the family members cannot get them to and from the appointments because of work schedules or limited resources, it's very difficult to get them the treatment they need. And that's one of the major hurdles that we have on the mental health case. So the person may want to actually go to treatment and you've convinced them to go, or they actually know they need it, but they just don't have the resources to get there.
Right. Yeah, transportation is a big issue for our supervisees. A lot of them come out of prison or come out of jail. They don't have a license. They don't have a vehicle. They don't have that support system to get them back and forth. So I think transportation is a very big obstacle. What about you guys?
Having that work-life balance is sometimes difficult for me. As officers, we want to help everyone. So sometimes we do have those limited resources, as Chris stated. So we basically spend non-traditional hours calling around and just being a listening ear, even if the person is in a crisis. So we have to, sometimes work those late nights or early mornings, which are non-traditional. So this can create sometimes, work stress. So I'm really looking forward to the consultation component of the mental health caseload.
I'm so glad you said it, because I hope this really provides some extra mental support for us, for the mental health officers. I remember when I had a mental health caseload, your phone rang all the time, middle of the night, weekends. There were no banker's hours for our mental health supervisees. When they were having a crisis, you are the point of contact. And it's hard not to answer the phone because, this may be the time that if I don't answer, if I'm not there, and we try to meet all of those needs. So hopefully this consultation component will really help provide some extra insight and advice and things like that, but also some extra support for ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a combination of, what these two have just said and, the lack of resources. Transportation obviously is an issue for us, but sometimes we're able to actually get the person to their appointments. They get there and everything's great, but then they get prescribed their medication and they can't afford it. It's way too expensive. They don't have income just yet. So how do we help them get that medication filled?
Right.
But that's an issue that we face too.
That is a big obstacle. Here's the medication, but you can't have it. So hopefully again, that as we continue to conquer these obstacles together and we can continue to help our supervisees with these mental health concerns be successful. So specialized supervision caseloads have been implemented in Georgia to better meet the needs of this population. And this type of specialty supervision has been shown to be most effective when there are smaller caseloads, so less than 50 people. When there's sustained officer training on mental health, we have to be informed in order to help our supervisees. Officer coordination of and direct involvement in that treatment plan, not just giving you a referral, but being involved with that treatment plan. And then a reliance on a collaborative problem-solving approach to working with our supervisees. And from hearing you guys today, it sounds like that we're implementing all of those. And we feel like we're doing a good job and we're always looking for ways to improve. And that's another reason we're bringing in this consultation component is to see, how can we make this even better? So as you guys have heard, I appreciate you joining in. That DCS is working hard to balance the judicial needs of our communities with the mental health needs of the individuals that we supervise. So I appreciate y'all's time. And I hope you have enjoyed this insight into our specialized mental health caseload.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was so interesting. And I think everybody who's listening to it will find it as a real snapshot into the process that you're going through and how you're developing it, and the enthusiasm and commitment that comes across to it's a real shift in terms of the way the supervising job is thought about. And I just wanted to ask you one question, which was, what would you say to people who were maybe thinking of planning a career in supervision? in the future, what would be the message that you say? What do they need to be preparing for now? And what should they expect out of the job in the future?
I think the biggest thing is flexibility. If you're going to do this job, you have to be flexible because it changes every day. Every day is different. You're not going to go in from 8 to 5 and work and do the same routines every day. Each, like Chris talked about, each individual is different. Their needs are different. But not only that, how we supervise changes. The more we learn, the more we apply new evidence-based practices. We've changed how we communicated. Ywkesha talked about the ESP training that really changed how we communicate with supervisees and how we talk to them. We've got implemented a lot of technology into how we supervise. We have body cams that we use. We have a case management system that has been customized for what we do. We're starting to bring in some AI as well into our supervision. So you've got to be able to move. You can't get stuck. If you want routine and you want your job to be the same, this is not the field for you. But if you like the challenge and you like learning new things and you like the flexibility, this is where it's at.
Yeah.
Expect to get up early and go home late.
Yeah. Yes. Most jobs are like that now. So thank you very much. We really appreciate the time and the organisation to bring this together. And it was really fascinating. So thank you very much.
You have been listening to the IN-CJ podcast, Conversations about International Criminal Justice. To find out more, go to our website at criminaljusticenetwork.net or follow us on Twitter at IN-CJ Network.